Hey, welcome back to the second episode of our Meet the Mentor series. Today we're here with Grace. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So do you want to just introduce yourself to everyone here?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Grace. I am a mum, I'm a wife, and I'm a property investor, as well as a property mentor and a property coach.
Incredible. So thank you very much for coming on. I mean, obviously, we recently connected, actually, so I was thrilled to get you here so quickly. Obviously, you're our first vetted property mentor that's coming on the series, so the second person to be interviewed, but the first one for property. So I'm really excited to have you here. Obviously, property is something that, you know, as you'll see there's a lot of gurus in compared to a lot of other areas. And I think it's really important to sort of understand property mentors' background. So I'd love to hear a bit more, obviously, about your experience in property, what got you started, how long have you been doing property?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I have been invested in property, let's say about 7 years with my husband, but it was only the last 2 years that I started to get a bit more active and involved. Prior to being a property investor, I was a business analyst and a social worker for 10 years. So yeah, that's my journey.
Yeah, I'm still a business analyst on the side, unfortunately.
You said, didn't you?
Yeah.
I remember. So I say like business analyst.
Similar background, but no, it's amazing that obviously you've been in property for a while now.
Yeah.
So obviously you built up a lot of experience. Like, what what drew you into going into property? Like, what did you get started with? Because obviously I know like that you've got a lot of experience in property in terms of the different property investment strategies with HMOs, buy-to-lets, and things like that. So, you know, what got you started in what direction did you go in first? Like, what was your first strategy?
Yeah. So it started when I had my children and I realised that 9 to 5 wasn't cutting it. So we were like, okay, which route do we go down? How can we make more money where we can sort of get out of 9 to 5? And then, as you know, property is something that so many people are aware of. I do have to say that my dad was a property investor, but I need to give him credit, but there was little exposure there. Yeah. And I think it's because I was the only girl. I've got 3 brothers, and I was kind of seen as the one that wasn't going to get into property because she's the girl. Let's focus on the boys. So I always saw my dad doing things, going into properties, cleaning up houses before new tenants went in. So I would be begging him, please, can I come? And reluctantly,
take me with you.
Take me with you. So I think eventually he started to use me as a cleaner, but he wouldn't educate me when I would ask questions. So I just used my eyes to kind of see what he was doing. So at the back of my head, property has always sort of been in my genes. And then, like I said, when I had children and I realized that the money we were making wasn't enough to kind of fund the lifestyle that we wanted, then my husband and we kind of thought property. Well, I say that, but he met somebody at the time when he was working that had 10 properties. So we were like, how do you have 10 properties? So the exposure was there. And through that, they said, okay, start attending networking events, start rubbing shoulders with people in the property game. By that time, we had 0 properties. So once we started to position ourselves, be in the right room, be around people that spoke the property language, eventually you start to, do you know what I mean?
I think that's really important. I think networking is such a important aspect of starting any business, especially things like property. It's a very well connected, tight-knit group sometimes. I think getting to as many networking events that you can, where you can meet other property things, because property entrepreneurs, because obviously when you go into property investment, sometimes, I mean, you'll notice a lot more than I will, but you use other people's money all the time. It's not, you know, you bring deals in and you have investors that come in. So actually going to these networking events, you manage to, as you say, rub shoulders with
them.
So,
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's great. Obviously, you started off, you know, first-hand learning from your dad, you said. So it's good to get that first-hand experience. But when you actually, you know, began your property portfolio with your husband, what was the core strategies that you looked at initially? Yeah,
our baby was buy-to-let because it was sort of simple.
Yeah.
It was easy to get into. So buy the property, get the tenants in. We weren't looking at doing, get one tenant for each room. We were just like, look, we just want money. Get whoever in and then charge them a particular fee. So we did buy to let for quite a good few years, and we became addicted to it because what you get comfortable with. And I remember people saying, why are you just sticking to buy to let? And we were like, what do you mean? It's giving us money. And me and my husband were like, ignore them, let's continue. But obviously as COVID hit and prices were going up, we thought, hold on a minute, there's got to be more to this game than just buy to let. And then again, through networking, we started to say, okay, people started to open up our minds. Try HMO. Not like we didn't know what that was, but sometimes you just need that push, don't you? Someone to say, look, this is what they're doing. This is how much they're making. So try this route as well. You're likely to get the same results. So that's what we kind of did. Again, through networking, we started to try different strategies in property. So we went to HMO, and one of our, as well as development, so buy land and build. And one of our main things that we're doing at the moment is that we're buying blocks of flats, and we're buying but you would think that buying blocks of flats is like, oh, you need millions.
100%.
No, the same price that you would buy for a buy to let, we're buying 5 blocks of flats for the same price for a 3-bed house.
That's incredible.
So it's a no-brainer. But we wouldn't have known this if we didn't go out networking.
Well, exactly, and I think that's really important. It opens your eyes to a lot of things, and obviously that just opened my eyes that you can do that, to be honest.
Yeah, for cheap, yeah.
So where would you say you're sort of primarily looking to invest with property? So I mean, a lot of people sort of move away from London because of how expensive everything is. Are you sort of looking up north? Where
Absolutely,
do you
up north. So we're not the investors that would just stick to one place, because I think that's boring, and I think if the numbers are right, why would you just limit yourself to one location? So we do look up north. So we look at Blackpool, we look at we've got investments in Blackpool, Sheffield, Leeds, Northampton, Surrey, Hampshire.
Absolutely
so
stacked,
it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Wondering what day you're going to.
Exactly. And we like to learn about new locations as well, and it's exciting. So
amazing.
that's
So I guess obviously a lot of people are getting into property now. Especially through COVID, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. I think a lot of people choose property. I think rent to rent tends to be a strategy that people get started off with because of you don't tend to necessarily need stacks and stacks of cash, or they start with deal sourcing. I'm just wondering, like, what were the challenges that you found when you got started, and any lessons that you might say to people from that are wanting to get started in property?
Okay, that's a really good question. I would say the challenge that I found is, I think, the lack of support. As much as there are mentors out there, that wasn't really an issue for me. I think when you're about to do something, adventure into something new, and I think I have to state the obvious as a woman as well, because property is mostly male dominated. So as a woman, trying to put my face at the front of, I'm a property investor, not just doing rent to rent, but actually I buy the properties, I get my hands dirty. I found that some of the challenges were that people didn't take me too seriously, and I would kind of introduce myself, and automatically people were like, oh, you deal source? I'm like, no. I'm like, you guys, I invest in the
I'm doing the refurb, guys. I'm project managing with the contractors.
Exactly. And I think it's that assumption that, oh, okay. So I think the challenge was I had to sort of prove myself to be up there and be worthy of, actually, I am a hands-on property investor. I know my stuff. I do actually teach it as well. So I think for me, I had to teach myself to be consistent. And I really wanted to be up with the big dogs. I wanted people to recognize me as a worthy property investor. And I weren't getting that. But I realized the more I did what I was doing, the more I stayed true to myself, the more people started to think, who's that girl? Who is she?
I think that, like, it's sort of like you have to prove yourself with actually doing the work, and I think naturally people will get drawn towards you, especially when you start to become more experienced. That as you'll full well know, like, I think you'll get a lot of people in the property industry, as I said earlier, and you'll know it's quite closely knit, right? And so I think always having networking sessions where you can actually rub shoulders, you can sort of flex your knowledge a little bit, and talk about the industry, and actually prove to people, although you shouldn't have to, you can actually prove to people that, I am who I say I am. I'm a property entrepreneur.
That's it. That's it. But I did it intentionally by being around people that I knew were doing great. And what I say to people is that you cannot be around successful people and not be successful yourself.
No, 100%. I think being in the right room is so important.
Absolutely.
Like, actually, I mean, a lot of people say it, and people might see it gimmicky, but it's true, right?
It's true.
Your net worth is your network is your net worth, right?
100%,
I mean, it
100%.
definitely is that. So obviously that's the challenges that you faced, but in terms of like mistakes along the way, there must have been a few. Obviously, we see all the great things on social media that you're doing, but like in terms of your mistakes from property investments, has there been any bad investments that you've made? Anything that you now look out for when you go forward?
Yeah, do you know, I would never say bad, because everything always turns out as a learning curve or learning experience, etc. But I do remember a property that we bought as a residential. It was a 5-bedroom, and when we did the viewing, it looked amazing, but it was very staged, you know, and I think we looked with our eyes and not our head. It was white cushion and fur carpet. It was beautiful. We're like, this is amazing.
You got drawn to there because you wanted it.
We wanted it so bad. We wanted it so bad. And there were so many things that were about to fall through, but we kept on holding on, and we would increase the price every time the vendor would say they wanted to withdraw, etc. Anyways, we got the keys to the property, and most people, when you get the keys to a property, it's victory. You got the champagne out. You're like, yes, you're doing a social media.
Yeah, with the keys in front of the door.
With the keys. As soon as we opened it, there was a sense of sadness.
Okay.
And I think it's because we realised that, hold on a minute, this property is not what we thought. Because obviously by that time, all the furniture that was there was out. So we started to see a lot of work that needed doing, because they had covered it up very well. And it was just quite disappointing, because that meant that we had to put money aside to do up that property that we didn't want to. Eventually, because it wasn't the forever home that we thought, we actually we lived there for 2 years, but we actually had to turn that into an investment property. So first couple of years, it was like, oh my goodness, what have we done? We made a big mistake. We had to do it up for about 200k, which we didn't.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But because we've always had our investment experience, we thought, you know what?
You can still make something out of it.
We can still make something out of it. Let's leave this house and move into a house that we really want and just rent it out. So till date, that property is the property that yields us the most return.
Okay, so you turned a loss into a big win.
That's it. It gives us the most cash flow every single month out of all our properties. So
congratulations.
It was a good experience. Yeah. But we turned it for our good, really. Yeah.
Incredible. So obviously, I mean, a lot of people that will get started in property will face a lot of challenges and a lot of mistakes, especially when they look. I recommend to everyone that they try and do as much research as they can before they get started, before they go straight to a mentor, because I think a lot of the stuff you see on social media is people go, it's a get rich quick scheme. Yeah. I'm going to pay someone to teach me and then I'm going to go and make my millions. And it doesn't work like that. You've got to put the graft in. So is there anything you would sort of, give people tips, suggestions in terms of how should somebody get started in property?
Okay. Well, definitely, I would say start to observe people. So observe the mentors. Firstly, you definitely need a mentor, but you cannot just have any mentor. So it's things like their consistency. Nowadays, mentors that want to really add value to people will show their presence, right? And you could know whether somebody's being true to themselves or not. We're all very different. We all have different skills. We're all a different brand. But you can know whether or not, just from observing them, their social media, how they're acting or whatever, whether or not they are people that are true to themselves. And once they are, then I would say that's a good first step, making sure that, okay, they are who they are, tick. And then I would say as well, what are they saying? Do you feel like every time they talk or they say something that you are getting value? Yeah. If you're very confused, it means that the likelihood is that if they do mentor you, perhaps you're going to get confused, or maybe they don't actually know really what they're saying. Because you're right, you said it in the beginning, there are a lot of people out there that are just faking it till they make it. I'll quickly say a story if that's okay. Go on. Yeah, no. Someone said to me that they had a mentor, but actually they realized down the line, they had a property mentor, is that person didn't own one single asset.
Well, I think that's like...
That shocked me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key problem in the industry. And it's not just property, it's a lot of the side hustle and business industries that people mentor, is that they're not living the life every day. Yeah. Like, for me, obviously what we do is we vet mentors, put them on a site so people can find them safely. Yep. The key thing is all of these mentors cannot just be running a training and coaching business. They have to have the experience on the ground. Absolutely. They've got to have put the graft in to either build up a property portfolio, because you can't teach someone to do something and give them your experience if you haven't got an experience to give. Yeah,
exactly.
So that actually leads me on quite nicely. Obviously, you do mentoring. You're one of our vetted mentors. What got you started in going into mentoring? Because it is a natural progression, I think, once you've established yourself. What got you started?
I'll be honest with you, right? So I'm originally Nigerian, yep, Black British. So in my community, what I found is that people, and I don't say this, I'm not saying this is everybody, but again, this is my experience, is that there are some people that are in property or are doing business and being successful. However, they are not sharing that wisdom.
No, of course.
And some people just want to, what I found is be successful in their own family and not actually pay the way forward to other people and say, look, I'm doing A, B, and C. This is something we can get to. It could be because actually it's fear of failure, or maybe they don't want other people to reach the same level. And it's like some people may want to feel, I don't know, is it superior or what's that word? So I said to myself that I'm not going to do that, right? I'm not where I want to be in terms of, oh, look at my assets. And I'm not doing this to show off or anything, but I want to show vulnerability that, look, this is property, yeah? Not everybody knows how to get into it. And I want to share that, look, it's accessible. It's not as easy. It's not as hard, as what people think. And if you position yourself in the right room, it will come. You will find yourself being successful in that field. So I just wanted to be different, because when I was trying to build, I felt like within my sort of community that I didn't see anybody being loud about it.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? It's an aspect of giving back. And I mean, at the end of the day, there is enough property for everyone to make money. Yes. And I mean, I imagine you see it, right? I see a lot of the same traits and a lot of the great mentors out there. It's they want to give back. Yeah. You know, a lot of people want to share their knowledge because, you know, when you do become an expert on it, you know, it's quite, I don't know, gratifying, nice to see that somebody you've taught your experience to has gone on and had success. Absolutely. And that's the high people get from mentoring. It's that, wow, I've taught this person and they've changed their life. Yeah, and it really is my oxygen, especially with some of the mentees that I have now. When you see that they're winning, they're doing things, you're like, oh, it's like, this is what I live for. Yeah. This is what I breathe for, apart from my husband and my children. But it really gives me so much joy when I see people win. And I actually want people to do better than myself. Definitely. I'm not in any competition with anyone. I even want my mentees to end up teaching me how to do what they just did. Yeah. You know, it's such a joy to see people win and succeed in this field. I completely agree. And I guess in terms of your mentoring, you know, what can people get from you? How you know, what's involved in your mentoring? Yep.
Okay. So in my mentoring, so I have a program which is between 8 to 12 weeks, 8 weeks teaching, 4 weeks practical. For me, I'm all about action. We look at the mindset. I teach about networking, how to pitch. I actually send where to network as well. Yeah. So I go a lot of networking events, so I know the good ones, the not so good ones. So I share that as well with my mentees. I also teach on the different strategies, because call me a jack of all trade or whatever, but I do know all the different strategies as well as the different locations as well. So I teach on that. And generally speaking, I teach on the power of positioning yourself with the right people and within the right environment. So that's what you would expect. And of course, much more me in with that, as well as, like I said, practicality. So I'm saying call the landlord, call this estate agent, go and view this property, because I find that some programs, it's you get theory, and this is why so many people are teaching, because they're so theory heavy. They've got so much knowledge and theory in them, they don't know what to do with it, apart from I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, but there's no practical.
You've got to have accountability. Absolutely. You've got to have the personable relationship being built with your mentee. You can't, especially now, you can't just get away with having an online pre-recorded course and not have any like touch basing with them, because I mean, you can just watch theory online. I mean, it's like watching TV. Like, you're not taking any actionable steps. Who's going to tell you? I mean, you shouldn't have to have someone tell you, but I mean, the whole point of having a mentor is that they will keep you accountable. Absolutely. That they will take you along this journey to get to a point where you can goal set, get yourself going. But this mentor will say, okay, well, you need to do this. Why haven't you done this yet?
Exactly. You know? And what I say is that people buy into people. So it's all about, you know, people like you said, anyone can buy an e-course, but this is why it's important to observe people's persona online as well. Are they someone that you can get on with? Are they someone that if they correct you, you will listen? Are they someone that can actually humble you if you're too prideful or proud or whatever, you know? So that's why, for me, I think that as well, what makes me a good mentor is that I am relatable and I'm chilled out as well. But I'm also, I don't take nonsense because I need people to win.
Yeah, it's, you've got to pick and choose the people that come on board because we all want success stories. We don't want people coming on programs that get started 2 weeks in, they've sort of given up. They saw it as more of a phase, they done it because it was the hot topic and then, they haven't committed to it. And then because, that reflects badly on you as a mentor, it reflects badly on us as a platform because, we want people to be successful. That's the whole point of bringing mentors to the forefront is that people can get help and support and be successful, but you have to be the right person. You have to be in a position where you can accept it. You have to be committed because it isn't a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yes.
You've got to put the graft in.
Yeah. And I was actually going to say as well is that for those mentors that are genuinely doing it to see people win and succeed, it's not about the money.
It's not. No,
it really isn't, because actually some of the fees that they are charging, they could really charge much more.
Yeah, and I think. Sorry.
No, go on. No, I just wanted to put that out there because some people, when you say, "Oh, it's this," they're like, "Was it?" You're just like, this is peanuts. You cannot put a price on your own investment. You're investing in yourself.
I mean, people will make a lot of money through property. You don't have to do the mentoring.
Yeah, that's it. You don't have to do it.
Unfortunately, you can't just give mentoring away for free because, it's time at the end of the day. You might be able to give some value away for free. Yeah. But, you've got family, you've got things at home. You do unfortunately need to charge for it in society because otherwise, I actually also find that if you give things away for free, people are less likely to reciprocate it.
Yeah.
So, for example, free networking events.
Yeah.
People go, "Oh, book a ticket," and then don't turn up because it was free.
They don't value it.
Yeah. So I think with free mentoring, people tend to slip into the fact that I'm not going to turn up to this week's session.
Yes.
It's not valuable to me because I've not paid for it. I've not invested in myself to get started.
That's it. Exactly. Exactly. I agree.
Okay. In terms of, the mentees that you've had come on board, how are they getting on? What success are they seeing?
Yeah, so quite a few of my mentees are doing really well. So I had one literally within 5 weeks of the program. She's got the keys to her serviced accommodation. Wow. And she did that. We put in very little down payment.
That's incredible.
And this is a 6-bedroom house, serviced accommodation.
That's amazing.
So I'm really proud of her.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's such a joy, such a joy. And also another one as well is in the process of buying her first buy-to-let property as well through me, obviously coaching her. Yeah. And she used my team as well, my broker, etc., and she's still using them to push that deal through the line. I've got 2 of them as well that are now successful deal sources as well, compliant as well, must I say, that are now finding deals for investors. I've got another one that's managed to find a joint venture partner as well so that they can do business together. Yeah. So again, everyone has different desires and some people don't realize which is the one that they want to go into until they do my program. Yeah, they can, because they have the exposure to everything. Definitely. And then we had the one-to-one mentoring, etc. And then they're like, "Oh, I like this part."
Incredible. Well, it's fantastic to hear everyone doing so well and you're doing well yourself. So in terms of if I want to get started on your program, how can I book in with you?
Yeah, sure. So you can go onto the MentorME website and then you'll see all my details. You see the one-to-one, you'll see my program there as well. So that's where you can book me in.
Amazing. Thank you very much for coming. That's Grace from Giisland Homes. So if you guys want to book in directly with her, you can book on her mentoring program on MentorME. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.